So today, South Carolina faced a scare. They faced a big scare against Duke, and it was, I cannot stress this enough, it was the worst basketball game in the history of basketball games. Like, if you are, by the way, if you are at the game, I'd say this was tense. If you guys are a fan of either of these teams, it was tense. And this is what, like, this genuinely, what it genuinely just seemed like both teams were scared of losing this game. Down the stretch, people were scared to shoot jump shots. This was a mental game. So I didn't really I kept an eye on it at the start. But like, if you're looking, obviously 17 threes versus 8 threes. South Carolina took 8 3-point shots. They took 8. I repeat, they took 8 jump shots. Malaysia Fulwiley, it genuinely seems like she actually looks like a high school player, a super talented high school player being thrown to a college game, because she's being benched every time she makes a mistake. That it's like she hasn't been able to learn from her mistakes, so she keeps getting whipped off. So she's not ready to play in tough games like this. In big games, she can win you them. Joyce Edwards had a very poor game, I thought. And on the Duke side, it was Toby Fournier and co. Toby Fournier getting subbed into the game like 5 seconds in is one of the funniest things. They hadn't even announced the starters for Duke yet. They were waiting to put it on screen, and Toby Fournier already checked into the game. Fournier down the stretch was giving them something, but like, Duke couldn't make a layup. He couldn't make a layup. Look at the turnover count. 19-16. Half of those being freaking travels. I've never seen so many travels being called in the sport of basketball in my life. But I gotta give credit where credit's due to South Carolina. They did their best to throw away this game, but they still found a way to win, I guess. Like, there was an out of bounds play that was like, you know what, I'll say it was probably like 50-50. I don't mind the call. It was 50-50. Like, it was called to South Carolina. They didn't overturn it. I'd say it was one of those calls where it was like, it probably would have been overturned either way, whatever was called on the floor. And then somehow on the inbound play, with 30 seconds to go, up by 2 points, they go and turn the ball over. And then I don't know what Duke are doing. They just launch. They have time to get something better. They just launch and airball a jump shot. Like, if you look at these play-by-plays, some mad out stuff happened. Like, that fourth quarter was nuts. If you're looking at missed, how few shots were made. Like, all Duke had to do was score more than 12 points in the fourth quarter and they win the game. And they couldn't do that. Like, ending the game, obviously Chloe Kitts hit the free throws. And it was an air ball by about 3 feet. About 3 feet short was the air ball. Like, it was pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. And I mean that. Like, it was the worst shot they could have taken. And this was just two teams that looked scared to lose. Like, South Carolina were terrible, by the way. I'm sorry, last year's South Carolina team, I know it's similar this year, but everybody's saying, Fulwiley, she's going to improve under Dawn Staley. She was better when she walked into South Carolina than she is right now. Raven Johnson, in one of her better games. In Chloe Kitts' defense, she's been okay. Sanaya Fagan is okay. But they're just bricking layups. Both teams, genuinely. I don't rate this South Carolina team very highly. Like, I don't rate this Duke team at all, by the way. I'm beating South Carolina. I don't rate TCU that highly. So South Carolina are in the Final Fours facing off against TCU or Texas. I don't rate either of those teams. And you've now got USC versus UConn. I think USC could go and do that win that game even without Juju. But Page is starting to play well. UCLA are facing LSU right now, and that's going to be a game. Like, that is the game that I'm like really, really excited about, that game here. Like, I'm watching it. I'm turning it on right now, obviously. I'm recording this video here. But that's the game that I'm looking forward to watching. That's the only game that I'm like here watching. I'm like, you know what? This is something that very much interested in. But because Lauren Betts is going to be unguardable for South Carolina. Like, I genuinely think that South Carolina are going to beat or are going to lose to whoever comes out the other side, because this South Carolina team's not great. Like, they relied on Duke not being able to score a layup. South Carolina did not play well in that fourth quarter. And as much as you can talk about the defense, I don't think either team played that good defense in this game. I think they were both just missing layups. Like, it was a fantastic game from like a tense point of view. They barely beat Maryland with Cheyenne Sellers having a stinker. Like, this is the worst South Carolina team in a long time. It is genuinely their worst team in a long time. So, it's going to be interesting. And if this team pulls off the win, I gotta say, Don Staley might just be the damn greatest coach in the history of college ball, because this team's not great. This team's really not great. And in fairness, like, Don Staley's is an absolutely elite coach, so we're not questioning that. But like, they're the only player on their team outside, like, in fairness, Joyce Edwards, I think will be very good. But outside of Joyce Edwards, is like the only player with a little bit of like flair and ability to go get a bucket is Malaysia Fulwiley, who I actually think has regressed as a player. And all I'm going to say is, if South Carolina manage to win, fair play to Don Staley. Like, because they will win by... If they win that, it'll be from Don Staley's coaching, not from individual brilliance, because this team has very little. But they just still find ways to win. They find ways to win. And that is the sign of, you know, one of these teams, whether it be like a UConn back in the day, when you are at a program where winning is not only... Like, where winning is the rule. You are expected to win a title every year. And when you're playing for Don Staley, when you're doing this, these type of teams seem to really step up when it matters the most. Whereas Duke seemed to get really nervous. South Carolina didn't. And in fairness, I would say, if you were watching this game, if you were watching this game if you were at the game, I would say it was super tense and a super good game. If you were watching this game from the perspective of being a South Carolina fan or a Duke fan, it was probably super entertaining. If you're watching this game as a neutral, dear Lord, both of these teams were terrible. But at the same time, that sometimes happens in big games. Either way, it's going to be an interesting situation to see what happens with South Carolina, to see what happens with Duke, and just all around to see what happens in women's college ball, because you better believe that there's a lot of good teams out there for next year. And that other side with UCLA and UConn, I don't see how whoever wins between South Carolina, Texas, or TCU, I don't see how whoever wins those games are going to beat either of UCLA. Maybe if LSU plays, they'll go and beat South Carolina will go beat LSU. Because in fairness, I had LSU over UCLA, but I don't know how they deal with Lauren Betts or Paige Beckers or anyone. But at the same time, look, South Carolina seem to find ways to win even when they're playing bad, which is the sign of a real good team. But anyway, that's the video. I'll see you guys.